The Try That in a Small Town podcast is powered by eSpaces, redefining co-working, exceptional office space for every business. At eSpaces, we offer more than just office space. We provide premium private offices designed for focus and growth. Located in the heart of Music Row, our fully furnished offices, private suites, meeting rooms, and podcast studio give you the perfect space to work, create, and connect. Ready to elevate your business? Book a tour today at espaces.com.
You walked around the building and everybody's like, hey, how's it going? And you're turning in songs, you're going there drinking coffee. It's just different. And the building's not even there. You got these little high rises and stuff. And
spontaneous?
Pretty much.
That's amazing. How do we not know this?
After a demo session, we tracked 5 songs.
No
I did vocals on 5 songs and harmonies. And let's go get married. So we did.
Some city, somebody fell off something comparable.
It was here.
And got hit.
It was here.
Yeah.
Got hit by an oncoming
But they were so drunk
Uber.
they just walked it off, So it was,
Really?
No, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Something
to them,
happened here. They fell backwards off their stool.
No surprise.
Because they're pedaling down Broadway, hammered.
Yeah.
People don't listen the same anymore. They don't. A lot of it's because they don't have the physical album, CD. They're not looking at it. They don't own it. They own it, but they don't. It's just different.
The Try That in a Small Town podcast begins now.
All right, and we're back with another episode of the Try That in a Small Town podcast. Do not adjust your sets. We are still coming to you from the Patriot Mobile Studios. But this time it's powered by eSpaces. We're down here at the awesome eSpaces down on Music Row. Power.
Yes.
Yeah, power.
Where is it? 17 and Grand? That's where we're at.
Are we supposed to disclose the address? We just did, I guess.
We just did. Well, I mean, how are they going to see the office space unless they know where to go? We're on the
call.
9th floor.
point.
Yeah, good point.
And we'll be out of here by the time this episode.
And there's a painting of me on the wall in here.
Really?
Yep.
Is it naked?
It's on the. No, it's not. It's on the mural. I'm on the mural. I made the mural out here. I'm sitting.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
I think
amazing.
I've seen that one before.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sitting on a bucket.
I've seen that.
I don't know whether
Home
to
Depot
feel.
bucket.
I'm writing a song and beneath all the naked snake people in the roundabout.
Wow.
Who else is in the mural?
I think Stapleton's in the mural.
Okay.
George Strait.
Oh, good company.
Katy
I
Perry.
think T.G. Shepard's in the mural.
Who'd you say?
Katy Perry.
You know, she just went to space, apparently.
She really did.
Maren Morris
I thought
is
she was
in
already
there.
there.
But you'd think we set that up.
You know it.
Tully's got new tattoos.
I do.
Do you?
How do you have any
I thought
more
they looked a little
room?
slicker. You had a little Vaseline on there. Is that just in case somebody rubs past you?
It's just,
You're in a fight or
it's
something?
new, Kalo. It's got to keep it moist.
You
Tell
don't
us
have, I
about
mean,
it.
you're out of room on the arms.
I am. It was actually a little birthday present I got from myself.
Those are the best kind, by the way.
How
That was
old
it.
are you?
Just turned 50.
Whoa, it was a big one.
It was a big one.
It was a big one.
Wow.
I think
happened.
he kept it,
It
under.
happened.
He kept it under wraps, man. We didn't
Too
didn't
busy.
have a chance to party
Too
with him.
busy for birthdays.
Well, we did text him.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was 50.
I didn't either.
I did not
No.
know it was 50. I
With
found
hair
out
like
after
that,
the fact.
50 and still have hair like that, dude. Celebrate.
Thank you, Kalo. Thank you, buddy.
You bet.
No, 50. It is. I moved here when I was 21. This is crazy.
How long?
I was 21 when I moved here.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
50.
Why'd you say that?
It was before the naked people on the roundabout
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Music Row. No, I thought about that driving up here. I was like, wow, I come to Music Row every day for work, but doing our podcast from here, I'm like, interesting. Just turned 50, doing this from the East Bay spot, which is great. Driving up to Mumrin and how much it's changed.
Oh, my
And how much I
gosh.
miss it,
It's
how it
insane.
used to be. I harp on that every episode, I feel like. But I really do miss the way it felt before the madness that is now Music Row, which I don't even consider it Music Row.
Well, tell people, because there's a lot of people that haven't been here. Kalo, you'd be the perfect person to tell everybody what Music Row used to be like on these couple streets here.
Am I perfect because I'm oldest?
You're not the
I know,
oldest.
You're just
I
the
know.
most
I was
eloquent.
taking the bullet, Neil. I was taking the bullet. No, but you're right. Like back in the day, like I wrote at EMI, which EMI was one of the biggest publishers in the world. Now EMI, they sold to Sony years ago. That whole building is gone. And for a minute at all of our publishing companies, you were the writer. For a minute you were the person. And you say the guy, but there's so many hit songwriter girls here too. But you walked around the building and everybody's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And you're turning in songs. You're going there drinking coffee. It's just different. And the building's not even there. You got these little high rises and stuff. But I thought about an idea actually. Because obviously we're veteran, seasoned songwriters, we'll say, right? So, and you said, we were talking about like, hey, what are we going to talk about today? Like a couple hours before the show, and Telly had said, hey, let's talk about Music Row a little bit, and then it made me start thinking about, because of the way that it's changed. Then I thought of a song idea. If you're a songwriter out there, don't listen to this part.
Oh no!
Something like, because it's all relative. Like if you're a songwriter now, like this is what Music Row looks like to you, right? But it looked like a different to us. So when it starts changing to the younger guys, so I was thinking about an idea, something like when Music Row don't look like Music Row, maybe it's time for you to go home.
Well,
Let the other people take it. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a thing, and we miss it, but the people that are just moving here, they're like, oh my God, this is freaking Music Row.
what's funny is you said that, and I was pulling off the Mummerin. Used to be beautiful. You pull off the Mummerin, the stop sign, and there was Deja Vu.
Yep.
Strip club in all its glory right there.
You remember what the marquee would always say?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Wow.
Like three
ugly ones.
Three ugly girls and one pretty one.
Yeah.
Like that.
Lunch at noon.
Hot dog buffet.
Oh, yeah.
But gross. Same thing happened.
It really was.
I pull up to the stop sign, and I'm out, and every day, we go to the office at BMG, and I go the same way. But for some reason today felt different. I think so. I was driving in, different time of day, and I pull up there. I'm like, you know what? I had what it was.
Yeah, no.
Well,
Yeah.
Hey, that was the idea. It was like, it's like I don't hate what it is, but I sure miss what it was. Kind of thought, and that I really do, and I miss the excitement of, just everybody running around with songs, physical songs, CDs or tapes, and now people, when they pitch a song to an artist now, they text it or email it, and I feel like it never really gets delivered.
well, there's an excuse for it to not be delivered.
Yeah, we don't keep an actual pitch log, but we don't want to tell you guys about the songs that people don't like. We just want to tell you about the things that, well, we'd kind of like to know you're pitching something.
But to expand on that, all the business was done on these two streets. Every house, there's like houses, and every house was either a publishing company or a studio, lined with 16th Avenue and 17th Avenue. So, yeah, you just walked across the street or you just walked down the block, and that's what you did. Like literally every house or building was either a publishing house or a studio. Now, what's the percentage of that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Like most people moved off the row.
Yeah, and if one of the old houses still is there,
Yeah.
it's most likely not a publishing house.
Yeah.
Or it's a hair salon or a beard trimming place.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep.
Anyway,
Not there's anything wrong with that. And yeah.
We've had a couple of guests on that were talking about the old Shawnee's Inn down on the
oh yeah,
I used to eat there.
And me and my wife, Lana, have a lot of memories from Shawnee's Inn.
I bet you.
Really?
Yes.
Because they had the hotel right behind it. You could. They did.
You can take a story south.
well, you could actually park
you could go.
too.
You could go eat.
Yeah, you could.
And you could take a break from all this marital sex, and then go to get the salad bar, all you can eat.
This was before we were married.
And you remember there was a huge open parking
You
lot.
could park.
Oh yeah,
That's where everybody parked.
Everybody
was
met the bus there.
Yeah.
Everybody. That's where we did when we were doing radio tour. We actually met the minivan there.
On Demumbrian, it was like the George Jones Wax Museum. Remember, it was
Barbara Mandrell.
It was when you go to the end of it, and 16th Avenue Café was there.
Yeah.
And it was a great music vibe, and that's what I miss about it now. I don't get the feeling that we're heading to Music Row, driving to Music Row anymore. Which it's
But all the young crowd,
50,
the young crowd that comes through and tours and gets on the tour buses and stuff and goes up and down, they'll never know what it was like. There wasn't one tall building except for, what's that building that it's kind of shaped like an octagonal building? What's it called? The Phi-Psi building? The UA Tower.
Oh, the UA Tower.
That was the only big tall building on Music Row. The rest of it was old houses.
They had one little. It was don't know, you get fried rice and stuff down there, and the whole building, all the way up the top.
The UA Tower?
Yeah, the UA Tower. Maybe
Oh,
the
my
top or
God.
something like that.
We had a chance to buy some of those houses. Like, we could have bought them back in the day, like in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Dude.
All those houses were up for sale, and it was, they were cheap.
You wouldn't
we could
be
have
here
bought
right
like
now
3 or
if you
4
did.
of them. You'd imagine if we'd have gone ahead and done it.
Oh, yeah. You'd be in the Caribbean.
Powered by thrash spaces.
That's a fact.
And Neil, you met your wife Lana on Music Row. Y'all ate at Shoney's Music Row. Y'all stayed at the hotel.
No, never stayed at the hotel.
And you got married on Music Row. You didn't venture far from home.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, she had a condo on 19th and Grand is what it was. Yeah, on 19th, and we would be standing on her balcony looking down at the Music Row Wedding Chapel, that little white church-shaped
Oh, my
house.
gosh, yes.
And we'd make fun of people that got married. It's like, can you believe that?
Losers.
I mean, seriously. Well, it was so Elvis-y, Vegas-y kind of, and it was just so cheesy to us. We were looking down, going, and then lo and behold, after a demo session, we got married there. $90 and a drunk preacher.
Spontaneous?
Pretty much.
That's amazing. How do we not know this?
After a demo session, we tracked 5 songs.
No kidding.
I did vocals on 5 songs and harmonies, and let's go get married. So we did.
See, that's a good wife. That's a good wife.
Yep. We called a few people to come down and witness, and we got married at the Music Row Wedding Chapel.
Invited the engineer to go with you.
Yep. He was in the wedding picture, actually.
That is
Had
classic.
to have a witness.
Another thing you see coming in, which can we all agree the most ridiculous thing, the pedal tavern things, where these people,
Dude, that's
this
big business.
this bachelorette part of it,
woo-woo girls. Yeah.
and they're pedaling, drinking and pedaling this bucket of wood down Broadway.
I mean, somehow
It's kinda
Nashville.
exciting, though.
Yeah, it turned into the Bachelorette.
How is that legal? I mean, people are
Well,
falling
they're
off
having
those things all
fun.
the
I
time.
mean, it's happening in almost every city now. Like everywhere you go, you see those pedal taverns.
I just want to tip them over. It's so annoying to me.
Well, they're
it's the
having
worst
fun.
thing.
They're having fun.
If I saw my daughter on a pedal tavern, that'd be it.
Hey, thank God for them. They're the ones buying the records.
Yeah.
And they're burning calories
Buying
while
the
they're
records.
drinking.
They're buying the record. Well, they're downloading our songs.
They're streaming their songs.
Good catch.
They are fans of yours and mine and the stuff we've written. Pedal away,
Yeah.
girls.
I will say for a minute while I was waiting on it years ago.
Pedal away. Hey, there's a T-shirt. Pedal away, girls.
Pedal.
Thrasher.
I stayed at that right below that. The Rhythm. that little condo building there.
Mm-hmm.
So about 5 weeks, I stayed there waiting on an apartment to get ready, and I thought I was going to hate it. Because I lived out south in
It
Franklin,
seems
stuff like
awful.
that. It seemed the idea of it sounded terrible.
Yeah.
But I actually loved it for a limited amount of time. I'd go out there on the balcony, and it was just people were just laughing and they're drinking and having fun. You hear all the sounds of the city, which I'm not used to. I found it inspiring for a little bit. I thought, this is really cool. People are crazy about Nashville, and so I found it kind of inspiring for a minute. And I'm glad that I don't live there all the time, but I thought it was really fun.
Wow. I couldn't do it. I was right there by Tin Roof, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, no way.
Yeah, let's go right down there and get you.
Not a
I think
chance.
didn't Chris Young used to live there?
Yeah, I actually saw him there.
At the
One of
Tin Roof?
No, well, probably there too, but yeah, but he was. But I think he did. He either
I'd
does
see
or
him
did
around
for a
there,
minute. Yeah. And I was using Chris Stefano's place for a little while, and he asked me to. He said, "Hey, Matt, why don't you stay at my place for a little bit if you're in between?" I said, "That'd be great." And I took him up on it, and I said, "I won't be there long." And he goes, "That's fine." He goes, "Hey, how much you thinking in rent?" And I said, "Oh, this is the money thing." I thought just let me borrow. So, I don't know, maybe $2,500 sounds great. Move in tomorrow.
Man, this
That was
year
awesome
this
place,
year
though.
has flown by.
Dude.
It doesn't seem like we've been doing this a year.
So, yeah, I don't know the exact date, but it's either right around now or very close. We've actually done this a year. You guys believe that?
No,
Well, that was our goal, wasn't it?
to see if we could get through a year
to
and not kill each other.
Yeah. Well, they say my brother would say, "Hey, can you keep the band together? You got to keep the band together."
Yeah.
For a while.
You showed him,
and
didn't you?
we did, but they had said, in the podcast world, said, "Hey, you got to get to a year before people think you're even serious, because a lot of people, you drop out or people move or whatever, because it's not super lucrative. I don't know if people out there know.
Oh, I'm
that or
loaded
not,
from this thing. Yeah.
But
me?
yeah, so
Did you not get your check?
are we getting checks, Jim?
No, it's for love of the game right now.
Love of the game.
It's we've made a little bit of a surge, I think. You guys remember a few months ago, I was like, I don't know, guys. I think we're going in the tank.
Well, Kayla said it though. Like I think we've definitely are getting better at it, but also we've had some great guests.
Can you believe they agreed to come on?
We've
All
had-
of these
it's
guests.
Who's your favorite? Give me one.
Oh boy,
I know it's like, who's your favorite kid, but
Ooh, I can't. I mean,
give me one. Give me one that maybe surprised you.
one that surprised me.
Anybody?
Golly. Well, John Rich didn't surprise me. I
surprise
knew
me, but-
I knew what he would. The knowledge that guy has about everything and
God, it
anything.
was so good.
He was spot on. I mean, he's a pro, but
Yeah.
surprised me. I don't know.
I was surprised on John Rich. I wasn't surprised that he was good. I was surprised because I hadn't been around him. I knew how talented he was and stuff, but that dude has some wisdom, and he is really good. He's really sharp, really fast, and intellectual. And I was not surprised. I was impressed. I was
Yeah.
impressed by that because there's a whole different side that you don't spend a lot of time. If he wouldn't have been on the podcast, I wouldn't have got that far.
Yeah.
So I was impressed by him.
And there's been a few where we make our notes of things we want to say or ask and everything, and
Yeah.
I'm like, when John was on,
Put the phone
I
away,
just
right?
turned my phone over
yeah.
and just slid it across the table. I'm like, I'm not going to need that. Just go.
I tell you what
Yeah.
what I do really love about all the guests we've had is that it's like anything else, right? It's like when an artist is new or whatever. It's like the believers in the beginning will always mean a lot. Like all the guests that came on,
Yeah.
Jason coming on, Brittany coming on,
Riley Gaines came
Riley
on like our
Gaines.
third or
Yeah.
fourth
Riley Gaines.
episode.
Yeah,
early in the game.
Yeah.
When they didn't, we didn't have a bunch to offer, like as far as like being seen or so that. I thank all the guests for that.
When are we going to get Al
for
Dean
sure.
on again?
I think very soon.
maybe
Seems
before
about time.
maybe before the new tour.
I think very soon.
It would be nice to get him on before the new tour.
Yeah, and it was cool. That Jason Brittany called in. On
That
the
was,
app. What was
yeah.
the name of that? The app, and where do people find that? Because you got a voicemail thing, right?
That's
Tell them about
yeah,
that.
good plug there. It's on SpeakPipe, and we'll pin it to the Instagram because even you mentioned that. I think it's a great idea, and we'll get to it. Actually, we'll do that right after this. We'll get to a
cool.
couple
Okay.
questions, but go to speakpipe.com/try that podcast. And it's really cool. You just leave your message. You say who you are, where you're from, what your question is. We play it live to tape on the air here, and we'll answer it. But it's a cool way to interact. So, again, we'll pin that to our Instagram and our X account so you guys can do that. By the way, Jim Tex, he said his favorite was Lavox, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Great
that,
one.
was-
Yeah.
that was good. He's hilarious.
Yep. Oh, he's a riot when he gets rolling.
I just didn't think he was a country boy till I first time met him long time ago. I thought he was just from the pop world, just the way he dressed and his, no offense, his spiky hair.
Wow. Wow. When he said no offense, I think he means offense.
No,
Yeah.
it's no offense. I wish
It's
I had,
my favorite saying.
Do you know how successful I could be if I had that hair? It'd be unbelievable.
You have beautiful hair.
Thank you.
I love the way it comes
I'm
out
growing
the
it out in the sides and the back. Right? I'm going to
you
keep
do.
keeping it longer and longer so you can keep commenting on it.
You
I like
guys,
it.
let's speaking of the SpeakPipe, which is an awesome name, SpeakPipe. Sounds awesome. SpeakPipe. Let's go to a question. You guys want to answer one?
Sure.
All right. I don't know who it's from.
Hi guys, it's Moxie from outside of Philly. I am wondering, is there any other place you can think of that is similar to Nashville, that has that Nashville vibe where the artists are so kind and supportive of each other and it's a laid back, chill? Is there any other place you can think of that may be up and coming or that you visit and you get that whole vibe where there's a lot of country music. It's very supportive of country music, but it's not liberal. I would love to know if that exists and where it's at. Thank you.
Nope.
Great question.
First of all, awesome name, Moxie.
I know.
Yeah.
Great question too, but no.
I want that name.
Neil, you were shaking your head the entire question.
Time. Well, I think I got a tick crawling on me. I've been turkey hunting.
It's a good question. Basically, to summarize, she was asking if there's any place like Nashville, sense of community, people that support each other. You guys know anything that could rival Nashville?
I can't. I'm sure. Sunset Strip back in the day probably was that way, but no.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other music communities, but But Nashville is unique to itself. I mean, there's obviously music all over Texas, Memphis. I mean, there's so many different places, but where the artists, where you can just go to, go to a steakhouse or whatever and say, I think it's Alan Jackson right there.
Yeah.
It's pretty unusual.
It's unique.
And people leave them alone generally, and they're very respectful most of the time.
Very unique, and I think some people, and maybe 15 years ago, 20 maybe, people would compare Austin to Nashville.
You have the South by Southwest still out there. We used to go there all the time.
Right, and there used to be a lot of similarities, but I don't see any similarities now. I really don't. And especially the way she ended that was with the liberal question. Austin obviously lies.
Hey, they're trying to make Nashville liberal.
They're trying.
You're right.
They're going for it. There's only
Greater Nashville, yes.
There's only a handful of us in there that really they would love to have this blue as can be.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
The majority of Broadway, the majority of fans and tourists that come here are not liberal. They're not. And
no.
That's their bread and butter. That's Nashville's bread and butter. Won't happen.
Still the number one destination for bachelorette parties in the U.S., right?
Pedal away, girls.
Pedal away,
Pedal away.
girls. All right, let's do another one.
Hi, this is Steven from San Antonio, Texas. My question is, do you prefer the whole writing process, the recording process, or actually just being out on the road and visiting with all the fans that love you?
That would be geared toward you two.
TK, you want to stab at that?
My favorite, I love the creative process. I love writing, love making the albums it's always, we do them pretty quick. So it's not like an extended process the way we done it with Jason and the way Michael Knox produces is, we move pretty fast. For me, it's always a sense of excitement when the album's done and we're getting ready to tour on a new album. That's always fun. Always love taking the songs to the stage. I love going to rehearsals, the beginning of the tour, taking a new tour out on the road. And, that's where that's how it started, was with the live show, So it's, always exciting to do a new tour.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So that's your favorite. That's
yeah.
what you.
Well, I don't know if it's I love.
Well, you haven't
my favorite part of the process is probably creating the songs, like recording them and like creating that music like together. It's stressful.
Yeah.
But when it's right and it's done and you hear it, you're like, I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of whether we wrote it or we didn't, or what we played on it, the part we created. I still love the creative part musically of creating the bass line. For me will always be one of my favorite things when that's done, is just that moment, what I added to the song, whatever song it was. That's probably my favorite moment musically, creatively. And then, but yes, of course, touring and playing the shows. Mm-hmm. You're up there, with your best friends, and you made this album. Now we get to go play it.
What's your favorite, Kurt?
Thanks for asking, Neil.
You're welcome.
It's interesting. It's an interesting question, and they are three very separate things. But I guess I'll probably have to agree with the touring part and the playing it on stage, simply for the fact of we're 25 years in the making, so sharing that moment with your brothers is really cool. I think also we could probably write or record for who knows how many more years. To get out on stage and tour, there's probably a little bit more of a window involved. So just soaking all that in while it happens.
I think that's why a moment like, I'll just reference this, like Try That in a Small Town, which is why we started the podcast based obviously around the song. That moment especially, you talk about a moment that you'll think about from the inception of an idea to the demo, to sending the demo of the song to Jason, for Jason liking it, Jason buying into it. That whole process, I remember everything about recording that song. Remember when it came out, I remember, you had the whole video controversy. So that kind of thing is a really special, rare experience as creators. Because me and Kurt were lucky enough to see it through all the way to that first time we played it on stage, and then having you guys come out in Alabama and getting on stage with us in Tuscaloosa. So that moment, those moments in the music business are non-existent really, when you have a song that started like that and became that big, and we got to do it together and kind of experience that. So that was a special moment. Like,
where do you think Al Dean will put Try That in a Small Town in the set
that's a
list?
great question.
Where do you think he'll put it this time? He's got to close with it, right? I would save it for the encore.
You know what's funny? Or not funny, but interesting. We haven't done an encore in at least 10 years.
10 years probably.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even notice.
So what I remember we were having this conversation and talking about, what do we do for the encore? And I remember seeing Van Halen as a kid. And at one point, one of their tours, they were like, listen, we're not going to do the BS where we go off stage and everybody goes, oh my God, are they going to come out? And they're going to come out and they clap for 10 minutes. And it's
I haven't played your biggest song
It's
yet.
this BS moment. It's like, dude, we're going to play all of our hits. When we're done, we're done. And I remember Tony and Jason were like, let's do something like that. Let's just do our hits. Let's play our songs. When we're done, we're done. We're not going to BS you and say, can you please come back out and play 2 more songs?
Getting the cheap thrill of the crowd clapping because we haven't played, Dirt Road Anthem or She's Country.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to play these songs. Like, so we just pack them in. Like, I'll say that about our show. Like, we're not, there's no talking. There's no crap going on where you got to listen to an artist. People are there to hear the hits. Yeah. One of my favorite things about seeing Tom Petty, I saw Petty probably 10 times from a kid till the last tour before he passed. He went out there and just played the songs. He's not going to talk and fill your head with a bunch of stuff that you don't want to hear. Just go out and play the hits. Now, Try That in a Small Town was different. Jason would give that one introduction just because he felt he needed to, especially, this last couple of years.
Yeah, the timing of it.
We played like 27 songs. I mean, my favorite thing is when an artist goes, oh, yeah, we played 2.5 hours. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Well,
you play 90 minutes of
who
songs,
really wants that?
And then you talk.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
You talk for an hour. And
when you've had opening acts, that's a long time to be on.
I'm not sure I would want to go see anybody for 2.5 hours. Really?
At some point, you got it.
Yeah.
It's George Strait, Garth Brooks, whoever. Like after an hour and a half or so, he said, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Let's do a little pause for the cause. Let's get a word from our sponsors. And thanks for sticking with us. We'll be right back with Try That in a Small Town podcast.
My name is Glenn Story. I'm the founder and CEO of Patriot Mobile. And then we have 4 principles. First Amendment, Second Amendment, right to life, military and first responders. If you have a place to go put your money, you always want to put it with somebody that's like-minded. Of course. I think that's the beauty of Patriot Mobile. We're a conservative alternative.
Don't get fooled by other providers pretending to share your values or have the same coverage. Go to patriotmobile.com/smalltown to get a free month of service when you use the offer code SMALLTOWN or call 972-PATRIOT.
You know what goes great with small town stories?
Original Glory, America's beer right here.
You know, I've been drinking this every songwriting session today.
Man, that clean, crisp taste reminds me of summer nights on the back porch after a fresh mowed lawn.
And they're just not making great beer. They're investing in America's small towns.
Well, it's just like us. They believe in bringing communities together.
Not only do they invest in communities, but a portion of each sale goes to the veterans and the first responders and all the heroes that protect us.
For a limited time, you can become a member of the OG fam and invest in this beer at wefunder.com/original brands.
Join our Original Glory family and help ignite that Original Glory spirit. All right, and we're back. This is the Try That Small Town podcast. How's it feel? I was saying that I feel more professional, and maybe it's because I'm a little more sober than usual.
Well, usually I'm like a Celsius and a solid whiskey drink in, so the combination of the 10 cups of caffeine plus the whiskey.
Do you drink the Celsius with the whiskey or separate?
No, I drink the Celsius on the way down to the podcast.
Yeah.
Always on an empty stomach. Never. And then we get to the podcast and I have like 4 almonds or something, and then I'll have the whiskey.
4 almonds.
Oh,
what a party.
You forgot the Zyrtec.
Yeah. Oh, and the Zyrtec.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Zyrtec.
And a little Ben Gay on my knee. And then,
yeah. But it provides me the spark I need. But today
I feel really good. I feel professional.
I know.
It's
More
earlier.
responsible with professional is a great
I feel like we've
word.
grown up.
Yeah, but I'm the only one drinking.
Well, I got this little hard seltzer stuff.
It's
Whatever
all
it is.
Did you call it
I'm sipping
Celsius? Did you say Celsius?
Well, that was what he usually
That's what I
drinks
usually
today.
Oh, I've never even heard of that. I mean,
What?
except in temperature, you know.
I won't touch it. It's those the pedal girls drink that stuff. I don't.
Pedal on, girl.
You're actually right.
I don't drink.
You're
I don't
right.
drink
On a serious
that
note,
stuff.
not to go back to that, but what is the insurance policy on that stuff?
Oh, you probably just sign a waiver.
It's
Yeah.
that easy? Just sign a
Probably.
waiver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Well,
Yeah, I think
They made it easy. They made it easy. I mean,
in some cities, somebody fell off something
Here.
comparable.
It was here.
And got hit.
it was here.
Yeah.
Got hit by
Yeah.
an oncoming.
But they were so drunk
Uber.
they just walked it off, you know. So it was,
Really?
No, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Something
to them,
happened here. They fell backwards off the stool.
No surprise.
Because they're pedaling down
Yeah.
Broadway, hammered.
Yeah.
I want to know what our listeners who have been to Nashville and been to Broadway. I want to know what they think.
Oh, okay, that's a great question.
I really do. I want to know what they think about all of the pedal taverns, all the noise, all the bands.
I mean, they must
playing
love
at one
it.
time. You'd have to. I mean, I never thought that I would actually think something's magical sounding as 100 bands playing different songs at the same time, and you can hear it all. But there's something crazy, weird, magical about.
Yeah, I mean, we don't.
Broadway.
Yeah, we don't enjoy it. But if you're from wherever, like Iowa, and hey, let's go to Nashville, and that's an experience.
Well, I tell you what I do, like if we're ever, and you guys do it too, if you play a corporate show at Country Music Hall of Fame or something like that, at the end of it, it could be a Monday night, you know, it doesn't even have to be Friday, you know, but I'll drive all the way down to the river and I'll come back up, all the windows open, because I want to hear it and just watch how crazy people are about country music, and it is inspiring to me because like you continually be reminded, like, man, these people freaking love music. They love music more than I love music, which makes me want to create it.
Yeah,
If they only wanted
Yeah.
to pay for it, we'd be in good shape.
I know it.
It's not their fault.
Sorry.
technically. It's not their fault. You know?
I sound really. See, I'm 50, so I feel like I'm allowed to be just a grumpy pain in the ass.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're Clint Eastwood, and what was the movie?
Well,
Which one?
it wasn't Grumpy Old Men.
no,
so, he wasn't in
is
that.
it,
but
Gran Torino?
Gran Torino, yeah.
Gran Torino.
I was
yeah.
going
Which is a great
to
movie.
say El Camino.
I would-
but yeah.
I would say that because there's a lot of people and a lot of writers, people even on Music Row that listen to this podcast. I would say you don't have the right to be grumpy while you still have top tens on the radio.
I can be grumpy.
Yes, you do.
I'm
You,
50.
you're
I think
clump.
it's,
no,
I
you
think if you're
can't.
grumpy with a hit,
You can't.
That's another thing, but it's not grumpy. And I
Kurt
wouldn't
and
say-
Tully have Whiskey Drink climbing the charts, top 10. He's over
Yeah.
here being,
Yeah.
complaining about being 50.
I think
You know how many writers that turn 50 wish they had a
Yeah.
song on the charts? Wish they had a song cut, period.
yeah, the word is
you're
still
right.
2 syllables, but it's not grumpy. It should
I can
be
make
thankful.
Tully feel
It
like-
should be thankful.
Neil,
Right
that
now.
really cut to the core.
You should. It's just supposed to.
You're right, though.
You should be ashamed for complaining about it.
You look so
got new
disappointed.
tats and a song on the charts. Give me a break.
You have
my
zero
thing, though.
expenses.
Oh, see, it's funny.
What'd you say,
that.
Kalo?
Zero expenses.
See,
no worries.
Here's why I'm grumpy.
He has no debt.
I'm just trying to get
I do
him
know
ramped
that.
up. I'm trying to get
Well, I
him
like
ramped
it. It's the best.
Here's
way.
why I'm grumpy. It's because my son is going off to college. In the college, I won't name it right now, but it's really crushing us financially because he needs to go to this place. It's a great place for him. So I'm in the middle of bickering. Well, my wife is with trying to get some help. Neil, that is very impolite. Anyway, that's why I'm grumpy.
Crushing him financially. What?
It is crushing.
I've done the math.
See, let me be bitter. Can I not be bitter?
Okay, you turn 50. Get over it. Tomorrow. I'll let you be bitter today.
Don't be bitter.
But
be
you guys
better.
are right.
Be better.
So, oh my God! Here we go.
Come on, be happy. Be thankful. You got
The
a top
space
10.
intervention.
You got a top 10
yeah.
hit screaming up the charts.
Yes.
It's the top five most played as far as
Come
spin
on,
increase
Whiskey
this
Drink.
week.
Is it?
Yes.
See, I wouldn't even know that.
And Aldine has 2 in the top 5. The one with John
Yeah,
Morgan.
John
So
Morgan,
it's the
too.
number
We
one.
got to
and
have
number
John
5.
Morgan on.
We will.
You know?
Speaking of him.
He wants to do
he's
it.
a badass.
You know what though?
He's a
This is what good friends do. I'll tell you this. That is a good slap in the head for you guys.
That's what we're here for, Bob.
It is. No.
Slaps in the
You're
head.
welcome.
Yeah, that's what
No,
we're
it
here
is.
for.
You know, in a good way. Like you're right. I shouldn't be complaining. Got a new tattoo.
You got $100,000 worth of tattoos on just your arms. So I'm not buying any of your
You
woes.
could sell that one arm. You could sell that one arm and pay for a semester
My
for your
woes.
kid.
Oh my God! I feel like I got scolded.
The price of ink these days? Oh, I know what those cost.
I got to tell you something. This tattoo, the new one, for some reason, I don't know if it was just a weird day. Oh, man, it got down to the elbow, and it was like I was having to like focus.
That's the weenus.
That's the weenus. 50
Yep,
weenus.
right there on the weenus.
50-year-old weenus.
I've heard that's very painful to get one on the weenus.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh my God, I've never.
Stay away from the weenus, sir. Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm 50.
Oh my God.
Don't
Lord.
touch me there. Seriously, guys.
Touch me, my weenus.
They'll be putting you under next time you get a tattoo.
Oh hell no! No, that won't be happening.
All right.
All right, somebody pivot from weenus.
Kurt, what do you got?
You can't pivot from weenus.
I got nothing.
Yeah, you can't pivot from weenus. It is
Well,
good
you
though.
go.
You're right. You guys are both right. Like just you're right. What am I?
Yeah, just
what
congrats.
What am I complaining
yeah.
about?
That's
You're
right.
I
You
know
play-
we're always worried about the next one. I get that. But congrats on this one.
Thank you. Thank you very
no,
much.
It's
Let's wait
good
a couple
it's
weeks
good
and
that
see.
the team is still representing. It's great.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
No, it's you're right. You guys are absolutely right. Don't complain. Just,
I mean, be like Biden came out today with his first speech since
He's
the,
gay?
Since the no.
Wouldn't that be
No.
amazing to
Oh.
come out at 80
I know,
something?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
very niche.
Well, he'd say, I had no idea I was. That's what he'd say. But he was informed by one of his aides.
Oh,
I did.
there's a joke in there somewhere.
That wasn't
wasn't
on
a girl?
purpose. No,
I
but
did see him.
But anyway, he was captivating today, just as captivating as he was during the
Well, give us some highlights.
What happened?
during the run. Well, he talked. I don't know what he said. Really, I was trying to figure it out. But
Well,
it's a lot
where
of the
was
word
it?
salad
What-
stuff.
what was it
was in
for?
Chicago. I'm not sure what the event was.
Okay.
But he was saying things, and he was against all the things Trump was doing, and saying how he's tearing down Social Security and stuff, and which I hadn't heard anything about that until he came out and said that was happening. But
Have you guys heard this thing that the liberals are talking about now, how they're blaming the election and how it went on the manoverse? You guys heard this term, the manoverse?
No.
You guys heard this, Jim, or anybody?
No.
So it's basically blaming us, male podcasters, because there was such a influence, actually, on the election for young men, and because that's people are listening to podcasts, but they're complaining that it's all male voices
Interesting.
Yeah. So they're calling this the manoverse.
What a stupid word. That's my new favorite stupid word.
So that
Only a liberal will make that up, a manoverse.
You're right.
Make it sound like a negative thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to get Whitlock to talk about this.
It all started at Augusta. It all started when they let 2 women in to Augusta.
You want to expand?
No, I'm just saying. I love women. I love the female population, but why can't men have their own club if they want one? Why do they have? Why do they have to pressure their way in and elbow their way into a men's club just to go?
Okay.
Once they got in, they go, "Oh, we're in. Now what?"
Okay. I'll back you up.
It's odd.
I'll back you up.
It's so odd. And then they wear green. It's so stupid.
They have their clubs.
Right.
Well, we don't try to infiltrate their space. You know,
Their e-space.
why can't men have their own clubs today? You know?
All right, I'm backing
it's
you
a men's
up.
club.
I like the men's club.
you know,
What's wrong with that? That's like a.
I saw it coming when that all went down.
When was
years
that?
ago? That was years ago. You know, Condoleezza Rice is in there, and some other gal that was picketing out front.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh God, if they let them in, just because they're raising hell, we're screwed. Men's clubs are screwed.
Yeah, I don't know what we'll do
Yep.
as a society. I don't know. I mean, that's of all the things that's happening in the world, that keeps me up the most. Is that?
Well,
That's,
I don't stay up over it. I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Why do they feel the need to have to do that? To be equal.
Well, I mean,
equal in value, different in role.
We're not
biblically.
we're not equally endowed. We're different species. We're different sexes. We're different. And men want to have their own club. Let them have their own club.
it's hard to argue, Kalo.
We'll be right back.
No, it is.
Kurt, a word from our sponsor.
Look here. I could go on and on and on and give you my opinions about stuff like that.
This is safe space.
I'm telling you, man.
Just
I
us.
could go on and on and on.
I didn't know that that had happened, to be honest with you. So, for me, at its most basic form, we can have our own club.
Yeah.
I don't see the big deal.
Yeah. So we're not allowing any women to come. This is a boys' club right here.
Well, hold
Try
on.
that in a
Hold on.
Well,
Try that in a small town podcast. Is for men only.
except for all the lovely guests that we've already had and we want to have later
Well,
on.
they're temporary. They can come in as guests.
He knows not what he
Neil,
says, folks.
Hey,
Folks,
look, Tom Petty said it best.
Original glory.
When Stevie Nicks asked Tom Petty, basically, can I be in the Heartbreakers? Tom Petty said, well, Stevie, there's no girls in the Heartbreakers.
He did say that, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's their club.
And then what's wrong with that?
Well, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So-
she was in, and the other part of that quote's great. And she goes, well, Tom, why not? She goes, I'm in a rock band. And Tom goes, well, not really. Talking about Fleetwood Mac, which I always loved. I mean, I love Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks is great.
I love Lindsey Buckingham.
Yeah. There's no girls in the Heartbreakers.
There's no girls in the Heartbreakers. There's no
Somebody
girls.
was saying before we were recording, actually, maybe it was Lana. She was talking about, we need to have all the wives on.
Yeah.
Talking about how it's a boys' club.
We could give the wives an
hold
episode.
on.
That's a great point.
We could give the wives an episode.
But you said no more.
But
No more
they're
girls.
not the stars.
This is our Augusta.
They get one episode.
Is this our Augusta?
This is our
or are we
Augusta.
gonna?
And people can take me the wrong way and the things that I say the wrong, but it's not.
No.
It's none of it's true. Whatever
think
they
they're taking you the way.
They took our song the wrong way. It wasn't true. They can take what I say,
Yes.
and there's going to be a lot of women that agree with me.
I like this.
There's going to be
I
a
think
lot
my
of women.
wife would agree with you.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of women that hate me, and there's going to be a lot of women that agree with
Everybody
what I say.
loves you. Everybody I talk to loves you.
Not everybody.
No,
You know
but
what's
you wouldn't
really-
want everybody.
There's this
to love
one.
you.
There's
You know
this
what
one
I think?
guy.
No, here's.
wait.
I've heard some. Sorry, Kalo.
I'm kidding.
Before I forget, because I'm old now. I've had some friends from home who are female friends from home. They go, man, Neil. I don't want to like him, but I love him. You know why?
Well,
No,
You know
I don't.
why?
Why?
Here's why. Because you're you're a great person, but you're really genuine. And there's nothing wrong with having an opinion on a thought, but it comes out very genuine. I think people's problem is when they don't know if someone's genuine. And
agreed.
And you never come across that way.
I equate Neil to the old Simon Cowell when American Idol first came out. People used to hate him. However, he was just telling you the truth.
It was, and the truth. Yes, that's exactly right.
So, like,
Sometimes
you just speak your truth, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Sometimes, though, most people, I think you all would agree, have a hard time actually hearing the truth. Or, I think people don't want to hear the truth about things. So Neil has his truth, which is very genuine.
It's not my truth. It is the truth.
Good correction.
It depends on the topic, Yeah. Sometimes it's the truth. Sometimes it's your truth.
Anyway,
right?
No. Okay. I would never say anything that wasn't true, that wasn't the truth, not my truth. I don't have my truth. That's totally wrong. To have my truth, that's not right. It's pretty much the truth.
There's another T-shirt. It's pretty much the truth.
Now you can disagree with it, but
But my point is
you don't know the truth.
But my point is you have things that you believe in very strongly, and that's your truth.
Yes. No, it's not my truth. It's the truth.
Okay. Well,
everything I say is correct.
Okay.
Well, hey, so speaking
of the truth.
So speaking of the truth, it doesn't seem like a good segue, but you'll get it in a few minutes.
We'll see.
Because I actually got in the word a little bit earlier today, because the last few days, if you're a college football fan, you know about Tennessee and the QB leaving, and all that stuff, so he's gone. I think the coaching staff did the right thing.
They did an excellent job
to preach on that. But what, as a fan, and this happens in other areas, and I had, how you remember Bible verses wrong sometimes, and you make it your own, and you think, and you'll say one thing, but you go back years later, and it's like, oh gosh, I interpreted that totally. That's not what it says. I've told 100 people, that will.
It's your truth.
Well, anyway,
exactly.
Yeah, it had become my truth, but not the truth, right? So anyway, when that happens as a fan, I'm thinking, as a lot of people were, because you're in the mad mode, right? You're thinking, I hope he fails so epically, and you're thinking all these bad things.
That's our first instinct.
Now, you don't think that anything terrible happens to him. You say, I hope he learns his lesson. I hope he doesn't get close to what he already had at Tennessee, right? So you're going through that. And I was kind of reminded of that verse that I thought said, oh, how we rejoice at the misfortune of others, right? And so I looked that up, and I thought, because there's another 2 friendships I've had that have went awry.
Tell us about that.
Now, that's a different podcast, but we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
I already told this story, by the way.
But then I thought, oh, that's just a human thing, and that scripture's in there to make us feel good because of course, we've been wronged in some way, and so it's okay to wish poorly of the other person, but that's not what it says. It says, do not wish poorly on your enemies, or God will lose his vengeance against that person. So he will be, because you're mad and you wish bad things on him, God takes his anger away. So, Nico, I'm so happy for you, and I want God to give all the. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, I was reminded of that today. It's just kind of interesting when you're talking about truth, and you kind of forget sometimes, and you read something a long time ago, and you've kind of swapped it around to where it works better for you and it's easier. And then I thought, well, crap, now I can't be mad at Nico. So I'm not mad anymore. I'm looking forward to the next.
What if Nico transferred to Alabama?
He can't because it's an SEC and it's in spring, so you can't do.
We
that,
wouldn't take him anyway.
Now, if he did, obviously, as a sports fan, it's just entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you'd want them to dominate them, but if it was Alabama anyway, you'd still want to win. You'd want him to get sacked more than normal.
Where else would be, since he can't go to SEC, like Notre Dame? That'd be awful.
I don't know. There's
Miami.
So much speculation now, and it was,
I heard UCLA. By the time this airs, I'm sure it'll have happened.
Right, it would have happened by then.
By the time this airs, nothing may happen. I think it's all backfiring. From what I've read, it's all
backfiring. From today, he
on
officially entered the portal today.
Yeah, but there's nobody going to pay him what he wanted at Tennessee.
And what did he want?
He wanted like $4 million.
$4 million was the number,
and he was
right?
making 2.5 at UT. And now I've been reading that all these colleges, when he comes down to $1 million, will talk to him. And it's like he's going to lose $1.5 million if it doesn't work out for him.
Yeah, and I don't know what'll end up happening. I mean, who knows? Somebody may pay him bank and everything, but the pressure now on that kid, because now let's say he does get a few $1 million. You talk about Snap One. You talk about the pressure on
I know.
Now.
Yeah.
Now I have to be the most excellent.
What's
QB
he
in the
done to earn
country.
$4 million?
Hey, a question real
Nothing.
quick, because I don't know a lot about this subject. Is that guaranteed money?
Well,
Like
I don't know what the contract
he has to
says.
fulfill his part of the obligation.
okay. 'Cause I know like NFL, like
Even though he didn't fulfill a lot of his obligations last year, like he didn't show up for some of the signings, some of the stuff that he was sponsoring, but they kind of slid that under the rug because he was playing pretty good.
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
heard
it's crazy now that they can't show it. Like they can, whether an agent or a parent or whatever said, hey, if you don't show up day 4 spring game, but I can get you an extra $1 million.
Yeah.
18-year-old, 19, 20-year-old kid saying, really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. He got some bad advice.
Right?
Yeah.
That's some bad advice. And then the university says, because the team is, how are you going to win the team back after that?
Yeah.
You know?
Saban saw it coming.
He did.
That's why he
He
got
got
out.
at the exact right time.
You
He
are
did.
right, dude.
Well, how do you coach it?
You can't.
You can't coach it.
You can't.
That's
Some of these guys have coached in the NFL, and when stuff like that Nico business happens, the locker room goes to the crapper, and then you're not going to win a national championship. If your locker room is separated like that, who's going to block for that guy? Not many.
not Thrasher.
Not me. I'm not blocking. Yeah.
You
I
won't
think
be
we should.
kicking
I think
either.
we should have women in football now.
They had their league with the lingerie. What was that when they wore the bathing suits?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
that?
I don't remember the
XFL?
name of the
What was
league,
that
but
called?
That's
yeah.
volleyball.
No, they had a
No, they had a
football
league where they had like
lingerie.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was called.
What married guys can be allowed to watch that?
I've
I
never
saw
even
it.
heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a thing.
It was a thing. Had a season. Had a run.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk it?
No. That's their club.
Is there any more, do we have any more questions from any of our listeners?
We did. We had
LFL?
one more. What was that,
LFL.
Jim?
The LFL, Lingerie Football League.
The
did we miss
LFL,
that?
the Lingerie Football League.
Poor advertising.
And then there was the X League.
Yeah, the XFL.
I
That
think
was
that's what
interesting.
I'm thinking of. I think.
I'm ready for an LGBTQ RS
Or the triple
football
XL.
league.
FL.
Triple XL.
FL. LGBTQ.
FL.
What would that be like?
Plus.
I don't know. Let's get to a question. Okay.
No, why do you want to?
Kurt, I think that's...
I'll let you
This is going fantastic.
speak your
Go ahead.
truth. Last question. Last question.
Superfan Ed here.
Super
Question
fan.
for you guys
man.
on the latest single. Congrats on Whiskey Drink. I see it's in the top 10. I assume that's on radio.
Top 5.
I listen to Sirius XM radio, and Whiskey Drink was played for 4 months from October through January and then stopped. And I don't hear it again. Can you guys provide some insight into how things work on Sirius XM and some of these other platforms versus the radio, and where the influence is on why these songs get played earlier or later or not all at the same time? Just trying to understand how it works. And once again, congrats on the success of Whiskey Drink.
Thanks, Ed.
I
You know,
think
and to Ed
Thanks, Ed.
for
Yeah, I know.
a year, Ed's been with us.
Ed's
Yeah.
been
Thank you,
he's
Ed.
been right here, and it sounds to me like that payola check bounced. Whoever that went to.
You're actually not. I'm sure you're not far off. Tully, you said you might have a.
Well, I think what happens these days is between streaming and XM, and I think sometimes the label will release songs earlier to stream or earlier to XM than regular radio, to build up streams, to build a little attention to the song. I personally don't like it. I think I'm going to sound old again, but the days of being excited about when an artist releases a single, it's kind of gone now, where it used to be that excitement, a ramp up to a single release.
Yeah.
You know?
You're talking about from the writer's perspective.
Yeah, and even the artists too, because like, for example, like you know, a song like Whiskey Drink, we all love that song, but you know, like, you know, you release it ahead of time and it loses some of the punch of excitement. It happens to everybody these days. Like any song that you hear on the radio has already been out to XM and streaming a while before, you know. So
go ahead.
Go ahead. That was it.
I was just going to say, and you alluded to it, like I think it could be because that came out prior to terrestrial radio.
Yeah.
Those listeners have heard it, you know, so much that they're on to other things.
Right.
Well, and which it doesn't affect whether, like it's a top 5 right now, it doesn't affect it going number 1 if it's not on XM right now, because now you're after those reporters.
It's two different worlds.
And terrestrial radio. So it doesn't affect it going number 1 or anything like that. And I think it's just because I always used to think, like when you had a new artist, you're like, oh man, crap, we're doing great in Wichita and this market, and they're in medium and heavy. It's light everywhere else. I'm saying we'll never go number 1 because you've eaten up areas that have went in heavy and they'll be tired of it and you'll need them all at the same time. You know what I mean? So
I'll tell you this right now, sitting on Music Row right now, and labels can argue with me and I'll just call them out. That's how we talk about it. No one still knows what a stream means. What a stream means, if they tell you what it means or tell you what it can actually translate to, they're full of shit. The only thing in this genre that still matters when it comes to people listening is country radio. Still impacts. If you have a top 10 country radio, you can actually see that translate. Whether you're playing, you know, you could have been playing 500 seat clubs and now you're playing 1,000. You can see it. Every, you know, you get a top 5, you can see that translate to a hard ticket sale. You can have someone streaming 4 million a week as a young artist and they can't sell out 300 seats. So there's something in the streaming world that isn't connecting.
Yeah, well, like you said, you
manufactured numbers, whatever you want to say. What is a stream? They don't know. Is someone actually listening to the song? Doesn't matter, because if a stream mattered, if like they think it does, then by their point, if you're streaming 5 million a week, like if Neil Thrasher puts out a song on his own next week, it's the greatest song ever, be the greatest vocal ever, say he's streaming 3 million a week, but he tried to sell out a club in Chicago, might sell 100 tickets, might sell 500 in another place.
Yep.
So my point is, like, radio, Ed, is still, that's why everybody still loves it and cares about it. Labels will tell you, oh, radio's going away. That's not the case.
We've been hearing that for years.
I know.
And if they didn't care about it, then
and it's
every
two
artist
totally
would still
different
want
streams
number ones.
of income, Ed.
Yes.
No.
Neil,
one of them is income and the other is
completely different stream. We would be the streaming world. Actually, we're living in poverty if we didn't have the radio, the terrestrial radio. We would be.
That's correct.
We'd be living in poverty. It's what 0.008 of a penny per stream. It goes out and is split 3 ways or 4 ways.
Crushes my soul when you say that.
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's why Elon Musk needs to buy Spotify and reconfigure everything.
It actually is one of the saddest things, though, and which is why song quality will continue to dip. You know, we're not going to have incredible songs because we can't make a living on streaming as songwriters.
Yeah. The day of the standard is pretty much coming to an end. The day of the standard song. Songs that are standards that live forever.
That's a great point. It's a great point.
Maybe they burn through them so fast. These songs come out so fast. Morgan Wallen puts out music so fast, one right after the other. They don't have time to become standards.
Well, people also don't have the attention span. You put this is the problem, and you figure out how to release music nowadays. And, you know, it's sad when you just put a record out, 12 great songs or whatever. The minute you put the record out today, in 1 week, people want new music. That's already old. You know, people don't listen the same anymore. They don't, a lot of it's because they don't have the physical album, CD. They're not looking at it. They don't own it. They own it, but they don't. It's just different.
It's definitely more disposable, you know. But I still think there'll be songs that's it's all relative to where you grew up and where you were when you started loving Aldine or Morgan Wallen. I think when you look back and you get older, those people, like with Morgan hitting a lick now, there's going to be songs that pop into their head out of the hundreds that he releases, and they're going to be able to recall 3 or 4 of them that are the biggest songs ever to them. I still think to them those will be standards.
That's an interesting point, though, Neil. You got me thinking. And I hated to cut you off, but I almost agree with Neil. It's like
agree with me.
But listen, they don't get to live in recurrent land that much because he's got too much new music coming out. And I'm not saying Morgan necessarily specifically, but for maybe other artists. I mean, Last Night's the one I can think of. Morgan, it's massive. Will live forever. Yeah. But it's a great point because there's so much music. The recurrent ones don't get to live as much. I don't know.
I think Morgan Wallen would be the only one that would come close to having maybe a standard here and there.
Yeah.
That will live forever. There's no more songs that will live on. I could give you a list and name songs and you'd go standard. And most of them that I would name today, you would be like, yeah, I know the song, but it's maybe. I'm not saying I disagree. The only thing I would have a different view on is the fact that when we're dead and gone, and there's other people in the East Bases studio here doing a podcast about their runs and their hits and stuff, that it'll be completely different. Like, I don't think that the standards that when we say standards, we're still throwing in like really old names, right? I don't think people 20 years from now are going to be going back and say, man, that Willie Nelson, I just don't think they're going to do that. I think that their standards would come, from this time or 10 years back or 15. I don't know if they'll go 50 years back.
I agree with the timeline.
Well, I don't know, and it's okay to disagree with Neil. You know that. Don't be scared.
I don't know. I'm on this side of the table. No, I'm going with Neil.
But there's a resurgence in the young population today listening that are discovering the old standards. The standards were in the 90s.
True. Those and the ticket sales are going up.
Which is why you've got people. Which Alan Jackson had some of those for me, like those really incredible, to me, like great country songs. And people are discovering the standard, the Brooks and Dunn standards. Like those are there because they're good. Great songs. There's a reason why they're rediscovering them, because they are standards. Yeah. So I'm a big Morgan Wallen fan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We all are. I think Morgan is super talented and deserves all the success because he's a very talented guy. I'm with Kurt. It's almost too much. I was driving in and I heard like 3 Morgan Wallen songs.
Yeah, I hope it's not too much.
And they're good, but man,
they're killing
you don't have time to really absorb it because you're not living with it. Your attention, but that's today in general. Your attention is pulled in 10 different places. So that's why my daughter. I mean, she's on TikTok and she's listening to like old rock and roll that I loved.
So is my daughter.
And it's interesting because those are standards. And she's absorbing that, but it's like today's music, the artist, it's so much. I don't know if you have time to know if they have a standard.
Yeah.
Morgan, like Whiskey Glasses to me is when people still love, and Last Night was a huge song. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I heard 3 songs I like, but it's hard because any artist is going to start sounding, the songs start sounding alike because that's what happens. Mm-hmm. It's not.
Well, if any Morgan Wallen camp or crew is listening out there, I want to be on the Morgan Wallen song that everybody just despises. I want to be on the least of the least. Just anything. Get me on one of those records.
I mean, amen.
It's hard for songwriters to get excited anymore. I don't get excited if I see somebody putting out a song on social media. They call it a single, but it's not really a single because it's not to radio. But they call it a single and they put it out there.
Yeah, that song coming out. I don't like.
It's like, I can't get excited because you don't make any money.
Well, here's what's going to happen.
You make nothing.
I just had a conversation with a young manager that we know in town. He started a label, a joint venture. I can't remember with who. Anyway, the new model is going to be this: the songwriters are going to get a percentage of the masters.
That's a good idea,
and that's the only way.
You want to keep them going.
That's the only way to keep. Because I was telling Kurt the other day, like creatives like us. There's nothing more dangerous as a creative than having your ambition and the wind taken out of your sails. When you're creative and everything you feel it, and you're going to write great songs when you feel like you're moving forward and you're positive and it's like great. But when you feel like you don't have a reason for it, some of the most talented songwriters in town are going to stop creating it. And so by giving the songwriters a little piece of the master, that adds a little bit of incentive, and that's what they're going to have to do.
It adds a
and some
lot
artists
of
already do
incentive.
that. Some of them do.
And I think that may be happening.
I'm just not writing with those particular artists.
But it needs to be more than a occasional happening.
Yeah,
because we're not going to have great songs.
We can't just burn a writer's idea. Like if that's your only income, you can't drive to town, throw them your idea, and they write something, and then they put out half the song on social media to get 100 more followers that night.
Right.
And all you're doing is buying Uber Eats and going backwards. So what happens is you come to town and you don't throw your ideas anymore.
Yeah.
I say, what idea do you have? If I know you're going to put it on social media, I'm not going to give them my idea.
It's a really interesting problem, and so the way to fix it is to involve the songwriters in the master, and that's how you're going to get great songwriters to write great songs again.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're hate to say it, we're going to be stuck with the crap that's out there.
Yeah. I'm going to go lay tile again. Well,
I'm going to hang on to the bitter end.
I like that.
we're going to keep writing because we love it. We still love it.
Absolutely.
What we love, and I know we talk about things, but what I love is if you come up with something, regardless whether it makes money yet, because long before something makes money, you've got to excite the co-writers in the room or the artists in the room, and if I can do that. And if they say, well, I love that, then my validation, box has been checked, then I feel good for the day. And so I feel like I've done something. Made zero money, but I feel really good. And so if you write a decent song that you can drive home in a positive mode, that will help you create other things because you're excited because somebody validated what you do, which will make you think of better things other than, being down in the dumps all the time and man, we're not doing this, that's not going to make me think of good ideas. You know what I mean? So for me, still the excitement is coming up with something that could be something, whether it is or not.
Yeah. And I think the hope's always there as long as labels continue. Some labels in town, though, don't want to take artists to radio. So if you're not to take your artist to radio, then I'm not throwing a hook out there. Not a chance. If the hope is to only stream, then if you're not getting a percentage of the master, then they can, and that's what happens.
Or you can pay me like $5 or $10 grand, and I'll come write with you.
Well,
okay, that's not a bad idea.
There we go.
If you think I'm a good writer, why not pay me up front?
I still owe you
because I'm not going to make that with streaming. If you have a big social media hit, I'm not going to make jack squat. I mean, go ahead and pay me up front, and I'll write one with you.
If you get a piece of the master, though, there's incentive there to write a great song. But I get that
too. I get that up front, and you give me a piece of the
appearance
master.
Fee.
I'm becoming a pop artist. I'm becoming a pop writer. I'm going to start dealing. I'm going to start playing hardball.
Okay.
With what little time I have left.
Well, it's kind of I've had to shift my paradigm a little bit, and what Tully was saying about owning a piece of the master, that makes sense because we've said that for a few years, like, hey, you got to give us a reason to come in the room to drive downtown and stuff like that. Kind of the negative though, if you just say, hey, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to write with new artists, I'm not going to write if you don't have a deal or if you're not going to radio, I'm not going to do it. Well, what happens is, out of the 100 or 200 that are trying to do it, one of them's going to pop, 1 or 2 or 3 here and there, right? And you got to be lucky enough to be in that camp so you can pop with them, because you can't get on the train after it takes off, because then they don't need you. You know what I mean? So it's a tough road for a straight up songwriter, because you can't just sit back and do nothing and expect to be the same, because it's not the same anymore.
Well, if it doesn't change, if something doesn't give soon, there's going to be less and less people every year moving to Nashville to write songs for a living.
Simply because they can't afford it.
They can't afford it. You can't
do it full time.
They'll have 3 jobs while they're here, and then they'll wind up leaving and going back home.
And then worse than that, the great ones, like, aren't going to feel it, aren't going to want to write.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem. Like I said, with the creatives, like with myself, I know for a fact, like if I'm feeling good and I'm feeling like in a good space, I feel very confident. very confident, and that's when you can really create your best stuff. That's just a natural thing for creatives, like all of us. Neil, I saw Neil the other day, and you mentioned this, like it's hard to get excited to write sometimes, and it should be, because that's where we're at. We're going to keep doing it and writing great songs, but it is a frustrating thing when you're.
Well, great hooks are. I get excited when you have great titles and great ideas and great hooks. I got excited when Kalo brought in Try That in a Small Town. I'm like, oh my God, we have to write that. I really don't even care if it gets cut or not. We got to write it because it's such a great hook and great title. And it's like, I wait on those things and I look for those things. Whenever I watch TV or watch movies, I'm always looking for the great hook, so I don't feel like I'm wasting my time. Right.
Yeah. And it's still exciting. Like the last trip I was on last week, I came up with some idea, and I knew I was going to be on the road for a while, and I knew that Neil and Landon were on the road for a while, and I called him and I said, hey, got this idea. I remember what it is. I'm not going to say it now because all of you young guys are going to steal it from me. But
they don't even know who we are.
I'll sue. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, you just kind of said, hey, what do you think about that? And he goes, yeah, I like that. And then I felt good all the way home. Still didn't make any money, but a guy I respect, one of the best buddies, one of the best songwriters and singers in town, validated me. Yeah. He said, that's a great idea, Kalo. Love that. We'll write that. I went, and then I just drive home happy.
There you go.
That's kind of all I needed for my little bucket,
I love it. Probably wrap it up here. Do we want to talk a little bit more about eSpaces? Because this has been awesome.
Great.
You can see it inspired our conversation.
My buddy John Pirtle, who runs this joint, who has these eSpaces going up. He's got one going in Cool Springs. We're down on Music Row right now in these awesome office spaces, and this studio is rad. It's really good.
I know. I feel very comfortable.
No, I know it. These chairs are amazing.
These chairs are amazing.
Well, it's fun to talk about
and the mics
business when we're down here in Music Row. That's cool. It's fun.
I know it. Yeah. I feel like we're like telling on the people that are walking up and down the sidewalk outside.
Well, and
it's awesome.
And two, it's kind of full circle, like we were talking about. Like the row is definitely different. Music Row is different, but we've been blessed, to be back on the road all these years later, and we're on a podcast on Music Row on the 9th floor of a building, which there was only 2-story houses when I moved here, and it's really cool just to be talking about the blessings that we've had and the industry that we still love. Yes, we get frustrated, but we still love it, and the competition and the creativity,
everything,
and so it's still cool to be down on Music Row talking about songs.
Love it.
It's the same. It's really the same. It's the same blacktop out there. The buildings have gotten a little taller, but that's because business is good.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
And Music Row will always be Music Row.
God bless the boys and made the noise on 16th Avenue.
We built this city on rock and roll.
And pedal away, girls.
Pedal away, girls.
Pedal away.
Pedal away. Leave us a comment. Watch on YouTube. A review. One of my favorite things is to get up Monday morning, and Ed's going to leave those comments. And I love how he gives the play-by-play. He's watching, and he'll comment as he's watching, which is awesome.
Ed, you know what? Ed's going to have to come to town and sit in on a live deal.
That's a good idea. Yeah. We'll get Ed on here, and but
we need to get Ed drunk when he's here.
Maybe he is drunk.
Maybe he is.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
no.
he's
straight-laced.
He's not like us, but he likes us.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it. But do that. Follow Ed's lead. Leave us a comment. Give us 5 stars, even if you don't like it. Come on, give a brother some love.
Why does it stop at 5 stars?
I don't know.
Why can't it be 6 stars? Why do amps not go up to 11 like for Spinal Tap?
It's blowing my mind right now. I don't know.
No, that's your truth.
It's an odd number. I don't like it.
Tune in next week when we talk about going above 10.
But follow us on all the socials. Help us out, guys. Migrate over to X. We're at Try That Podcast. We're on TikTok. We're crushing there, crushing the Instagram. Shout out to Allie, who's working her butt off for us. It's awesome. Anything else?
just thanks to all the incredible guests we've got. Thank you guys and
What a year.
and Aldine
What
for
a year.
getting
what
the
a
guests
great
that we've had.
Yes.
It's just been really, really fun. I can't
Hard
wait
to
to keep
be
it going.
a year. It's hard to believe.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. You look amazing.
You
All
look
you guys look amazing.
Even in
it's the
these
camera angle.
office lights, yeah. For the thrash.
Come on.
And your truth. Kalo.
What?
Maybe that's your new nickname, The Truth.
The truth. Come on. Even though I didn't write it.
You didn't write it, but it's
I
still,
know,
it
but it's
kind
still
of
a good
fits.
nickname. We got TK. I'm Kurt. This is the Try That in a Small Town podcast. Thanks, guys.
Make sure to follow along, subscribe, share, rate the show, and check out our merch at trythatinasmalltown.com.